When I first analyzed the landscape of Noyou Port map from the airport's DLC, I had a vision to create the most elaborate ferry route ever made in City Skylines. And in the previous episode, a small portion of that dream was realized when we populated the other side of the canal and activated the ferry route. This route is planned to take a long Eyecandy journey that will span multiple tiles. Nevertheless, of course, the Captain Obvious standard of any build is not to just have an aesthetically pleasing city, but it also has to be a complete city that is traffic efficient while balancing all other aspects of city management. With that said, the next step after the previous episode is to once again plan ahead to reduce future traffic. Greetings, fellow mayors, this is Captain Obvious, and welcome back to Noyou Port City, a narrative gameplay experience. And of course, the simple answer on how to reduce future traffic is to provide multiple road access and to provide public transportation. But that is always so much easier said than done. Okay, let's take a closer look at where we left off and what needs to be done. As mentioned, we activated our ferry route and added these bridges that are both aesthetically pleasing, especially when ferries travel underneath these stone bridges, and they are also practical because they serve as optional ways for vehicles to cross the canal. And our traffic flow is at 94%, despite the fact that we see quite a few number of red roads, which indicates that there are too many vehicles utilizing these routes. And this road in particular is an easy enough fix. So if we analyze on why we have traffic here, it is simply because this is the only road from this entire area to that reaches this collector road. And what I actually plan to do is, when we finally unlock these tiles, is to expand going to the left and provide more routes to cross and connect to the collector road. But since this is not the focus of today's episode, we will simply do a quick solution to the to help ease the traffic tension on this area. So for the meantime, we will create a alternate route to enter and exit this area. And there we go. So now you can see vehicles using this instead of just using this way to exit. So slowly yet surely, all the traffic here will dissipate. Yeah, we'll go back to this. So that was a simple enough remedy. There are other areas, other red areas that we could fix, but our current traffic flow is at 94%. So, and that will sustain for this episode. And there you go. As you can see, it basically vanished here. This used to have a lot. There is still significant traffic, but not as bad as before. Okay, so these bridges are doing a great job for shorter distances. However, for long distances, it just won't cut it. So when we eventually unlock these tiles and populate them, the travel and the number of intersections that the vehicles would have to go through will cause traffic hiccups that will eventually stack up. Therefore, what we need is to activate this highway and create an interchange somewhere here in anticipation for traffic that will originate from the other side of the map. So we are definitely thinking ahead. And of course, as I mentioned, that we also must use public transportation to help reduce the number of vehicles on the road, since Sims may choose to commute to reach their destination. So here I am utilizing. Oops, there you go. Let me just grab her. So here I am utilizing trolley buses, but this is only for shorter distances. So that is basically just within this area. So for longer distances, what we do have is a train station that is sitting right here and is all ready to be activated. And we also have our train route that is in place, and all we need to do is to go ahead and create our next stop on the other side of the canal. Our train station of choice will be the crossover train station hub, which has both an elevated and a sunken station. This is perhaps the best train station of choice simply because this terrain area have levels which will blend quite nicely with the new train station. What I mean about levels will make more sense a little later, but for now, we will just need to get the right angle to connect the train track by the bridge to the crossover train station hub. Whenever you expand, try to remember to first set up or plan your foundation on how vehicles can enter and exit your new expansion area. And are there any short to long distance means to commute? If you can remember these guidelines, then your city will have reduced traffic after it is completely populated. And speaking of which, we have set up our long distance commute option, and now we are adding a highway interchange for vehicles to enter and exit from this side of the map. Ideally, if we plan our transportation and road networks properly, trucks would mostly use the highways and roads, while majority of our Sims will choose to commute instead of to drive. And this is why majority of the cities that I complete have an above 90% traffic flow, simply because I have the transportation and road network set up properly and have less private vehicles on the road, because majority of the Sims will choose to commute instead of to drive to their destination. Providing bike paths can also do wonders. Sims that bike can travel to several tiles. Yet, regulars in this channel may notice that I actually do not use bike path. I also do not use tunnels, and the only policy that I regularly use is the automated tolls. I don't suggest other mayors to follow in my footsteps of not utilizing tunnels, bike paths, or policies, but my reason for doing these personal challenges is to prove that all you need to have efficient traffic flow in your city are establishing a planned road and transportation network. Now that we have a highway route and interchange, I feel much more confident and comfortable about reducing future traffic. And we can now return to work on our crossover train station hub, and we will start on the sunken rail route. We are definitely making great use to the point of abusing these inland quay walls. Yet, we all cannot deny that they contribute to an additional aesthetic in your city. Any train station with a built-in bypass track is definitely the best station and should be utilized over all others. The sunken train track blends in quite perfectly with our layered expansion. Now that we have our rough estimate on our sunken train tracks, let us finally complete the top layer of our key levels. This is our first attempt of creating a city with tiered keys. Yes, I think tiered keys is the best term we will use, at least in this channel. Unless anyone knows of any other term used for multiple level zoning divided by key walls, please comment down below. We are definitely slowly yet surely introducing more mods as we create new seasons. I would consider this city to be a lightly modded vanilla city. Vanilla in a sense that we are only using vanilla assets, so there are no parking lots or any Steam assets in this city whatsoever. It is, however, utilizing a few light mods such as Move It, which is a must-have, and Network Multitool. Okay, so I made a minor error. I completely forgot that I meant to have the train track follow in parallel as a bridge along with the two highway bridges. So we need to pull the key back, way back, so the track would be straight. See, this is why it is not possible or recommended to create tiered keys without any mods, because it would be a complete nightmare to have to dig multiple trenches, then redo the trenches if you made any miscalculations just like I have, and not to mention that the flooding that comes with the trenches. So instead of growing and expanding your city, you are actually spending multiple minutes or to hours of time constructing vanilla tiered keys when you can have a precise engineering and it would take less time to accomplish the same task when you are using mods. And yet again, I failed to align the train bridge with the highway bridge. Therefore, we will have to pull the key wall further back and hopefully for the last time. Nevertheless, this brings up a great point that it is important to first establish your road and transportation network before zoning. So imagine if we zoned then realized that we made an error and are forced to dezone just to reconfigure the roads to our liking. Moreover, these are high-density residential buildings, and you should always avoid having to dezone these structures because it may cause death waves. Low-density residential, you may dezone, but in gradual blocks, not just one large area at a time. While commercial and industry, you may or can dezone and reconfigure your layout whenever necessary. Okay, so now that we have our basic road layout, let's go ahead and start our selective zoning. Take notice of the center of this block on how the zone areas are mixed in depth. The inner block is simply not wide enough to have 4x4 zones on both the inner sides. And as much as possible, whenever I zone high density residential, I personally prefer to zone 4x4 or 3x3 because as the structures scale up in level, the building model suits my preference. To maximize 4x4 zoning on one inner side of the block, I added a fence to remove the zoning options for the other side. Notice on the cracked inner edges that are 2x2, I chose the zone as commercial buildings. I am also paying attention to the walking path that slowly align and move up to each tier level and try to maintain a consistency with these walking paths. So I am not simply just zoning large blocks. Okay, so let's take a break from the speed time-lapse build and review what we have accomplished so far. First, let's notice the walking path that start from the lowest key tier that consistently moves up to each terrain level all the way to the top. So let's go ahead and complete these paths by deleting the fence, add the path, then redo the fencing and add minor detailing. Okay, not too bad. So let's take a look at the selective zoning that I did. So the 2x2, I zoned as, or 2x2 or anything that is under 2 width, I use the commercial buildings because if they were 2x2 high density residential, they would look like this, and these look terrible. So these are more rounded and in a odd shape, so I really dislike them. I prefer squared buildings, which keeps it consistent with the rest of the surrounding buildings. Having anything rounded seems definitely out of place unless it's a ploppable building like this one, the transport tower, or this one, or the Grand Mall. So these 2x2 width zoning was a mistake on my part. So I would probably do an offline cleanup of zoning because they're actually everywhere, and I really dislike them. See that? Suddenly there are these weird pill buildings. That's what I'm gonna call them, pill buildings. We don't want pill buildings. We want it square so it's consistent with the rest of the city. Okay, so let's continue to observe the current state of the city and do a few general maintenance such as emptying and refilling cemeteries and landfills. And that should sustain the city for another good 30 minutes or so. Other than that, the city is pretty much well maintained. At 33,000 population, our traffic flow is holding at 94%. Our weekly income is 100,000. So I have not seen this go red for a long while. So this is doing quite well. The only issues that we have, actually, while looking at it, we don't see it, but I am definitely going to. There you go. So we have some death around the city, and sometimes I notice garbage. Let's fast forward. There are some garbage accumulations on this area, and that is because if you look at it, there you go. So there's another death. And we have here, and the reason for this is the only means to enter and exit this area. So before we created this train line, we actually had a temporary route that for vehicles to enter and exit this area, but now since we created this train line, it's gone. So that means this is the only way in and out, and as you can see, the traffic is starting to pile up. So we need to finalize a way for vehicles to enter here rather than just using this. So we need to finalize the top level of our key here. But before that, let's check out the city stats, or actually let's check out the services. I mean, so regarding healthcare, we have a lot of sick citizens, more than our heal capacity. So that means we need to add a hospital. And let's check out how many hospitals. So we actually only have one. This is probably the very first. So we need to add the larger hospital. So we're gonna use this. And this looks like an ideal spot because we have this area here that we cannot fill in. So this helps fill that space a little better. So I'm gonna plop that right there, and we could probably add in a park just to help fill in this space. Okay, there you go. That should help. So we only have a few areas just to add trees. This area is also another problem. So this is a very large area that needs to be filled. So let's find another ploppable building. So this park maintenance building is quite large, so that should fill in quite nicely. So I'm gonna put that there, so that fills in the spot. And he also has trees in the back, so adding trees in this area would be consistent with the building. This is another problematic area. Well, not really a problem, but something to fill in. Checking out the other, there you go. So now our healthcare is doing quite well. We have over 600 heal capacity. Let's see, regarding fire coverage, yeah, we don't have a lot. We only have this one, so let's add, oh, we have one there as well. But to fill in this, I am actually going to use the fire helicopter depot, and that should fit quite nicely here. There you go. See that really filled in a huge spot. And this building actually only has a noise pollution of 15, so that means you could basically plant it anywhere and there shouldn't be any problems. And also, if you compare the price, so this is 140 weekly upkeep, which you can compare with the fire station, which is also around 1,400 weekly, but this has 25 fire engines, while the fire helicopter depot only has 3. However, they don't need to drive. They can simply just, fly over to its destination, which is why I prefer this over fire stations. And let's see, let's go ahead and fill in the other blank areas. So just as anticipated, this bridge will start to experience severe traffic, and the Congo line traffic goes all the way here. Let's actually check out our traffic flow, which is now at 91%. We kind of started with 94, and it's starting to decline and continues to decline. Now we're at 89%. So most mayors would overreact and think of creating a roundabout, maybe here, maybe one here, or maybe making this into a one-way route, so it will act like a roundabout. Or you maybe even want to create a tunnel that goes here. But that is those solutions are indeed viable, but it is absolutely not necessary. Look at that, we're at 86% now. We have completed multiple cities in this channel without the use or minimal use of roundabouts and absolutely no tunneling. The solution to this traffic is to provide an alternate route, which we will complete and we reach the capital city. So that is great. So that means we have another tile available to unlock. In any case, what I was saying is what we need to do is finalize the route here, which will be the alternate route to exit instead of just using this. So that is what we need to do to solve that traffic and not mess with the roads over there. So to create our multiple key tiers, we need to create a foundation that we can easily identify, like these levels along the bridge. The height of each level is determined by the base of the staircase. So we just need to make sure that it is about the same level to the ground, and we will apply this strategy on this side. So we will have a basically a kind of like a step ladder going upward. But first, I am going to go ahead and delete these roads and move a few buildings because we need the space as we create our key tiers. Okay, now we have ample space to go ahead and start creating our levels. All right, I'm going to get started. That is the very top of our level. Now all we need to do is figure out what can connect together, and we are also need to create a way for the vehicles to gradually move their way up. So this side is a zigzag type, while over here, see, we're having problems because of this. So we really need to start connecting this quite quickly. Yeah, so we need a way for the vehicles to move upward. I'm just gonna go ahead and find out which should like match with this one. So this feels like here. Okay, so yep, it's about the same height, and this of course will go all the way straight, and this will need to somehow let's see, what can we do here? I think this should connect there, and then this will be a way to move up. All right, let me go ahead and do that. So our issue now here is for this. So we have this from the top level going to the what is this? One, two, three, four, fifth. So from the fifth level, we have going to the fourth, going to the third, but we don't have going to the second level. So this needs to be connected. It would be most likely be somewhere here, but we don't have this unlocked. Therefore, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a temporary connection just to connect these guys together. I might actually just connect them all just for the meantime, because we definitely want to reduce the traffic that's forming. So I'm just gonna do this. It's just gonna be a very rough way for vehicles to go in and out. So let's go ahead and do that. So try to ignore its layout for now, but it will do its job in terms of reducing traffic. So let's just connect it like this just for now. So that should work. So as you can see, we got vehicles already using this route, and let's take a peek at this. So this is slowly dissipating. There you go. And now it's completely gone. Let's check our traffic flow. We're back up at 93%. So this still has some traffic, but at least it wasn't as bad as before. We were going down to 86, I think was the lowest traffic that we've ever had. Yeah, so this here definitely helped. We're up at 94 again. That's great. And also here, so yeah, so the garbage accumulation will be picked up. So all of these alerts will also slowly vanish. So now I'm not actually zoning here simply because our residential demand has actually dropped. Yeah, we've been zoning residential for quite a while, and it needs to balance out. So we need to actually create industry, offices, or commercial before we get more demands for residential. And we now have a tile available for unlocking, and I will choose this tile to open up, which brings up many build options. And so if we need more residents, we will simply continue to populate both sides of the canal with high density residential, and it will also further extend our ferry route. Speaking of which, in the previous episode, we had an issue where ferries would suddenly stop and just vanish, like there was a tiny Bermuda Triangle in this area. There you go, like that. And I would like to thank Evandro Zeffirino, my apologies if I did not pronounce that correctly, for pointing out that the ferries get stuck because the canal is too shallow. So let's go ahead and remedy this. And it worked. So now all the ferries just go straight and they don't stop here anymore. And yeah, so now all our ferries will reach their destination without fear of suddenly vanishing. What else do we need to fix? Okay, so we have a few abandoned buildings here. That is because we deleted a few roads and now it's no longer connected. So let's go ahead and delete these structures. Okay, so that is good. Let's set this back to fill. And let's check the city stats. So we have our current traffic flow is at 95. Wow, that is crazy. We're at 95. You see, I can mouse over it and it just goes through, so it's not like a static image. So the cursor is going right through the map. What else? And our population is at 35k population, and we have a pretty solid bank with positive income. So this is definitely excellent progress, which we must maintain until all the tiles are occupied. And while we are at the subject of tiles, our new tile here will have let's see, we could add in our amusement, or actually our downtown can be here. So it will be from this side and going down here. And our amusement park island can be here. And if you watch the previous season, we created a pretty neat amusement park. And I have a few ideas for this new island. And that is the future plans of Noyou Port City. If you like what you see and are looking forward to the progress of the city, make sure you are subscribed to the channel to be notified of a new video. Feel free to comment on what you enjoyed about the video and hit that like button if you like what you have seen so far. This is Captain Obvious. Thank you for watching and for choosing to fly with Obvious Airlines. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next flight.